Hello students. Good morning all of you. How are you doing, ma? All are fine? Great. So last class students, we have learned determination of molecular weight of a non-volatile solute from the fourth colligative property, that is osmotic pressure, and also we have done few numericals based on that, and also we have learned what isotonic solutions are. Right students? Okay. So today, this morning, we are going to learn experimental determination of osmotic pressure as I told you in the last class. Okay. So what is the name of the method that we use for the experimental determination of osmotic pressure? That is called as Bernoulli-Hartley method. Are you ready students? So open your notebooks, take a pencil, scale and eraser. First, before that, put the side heading experimental determination of osmotic pressure by Bernoulli-Hartley method. Okay, first put the side heading students before drawing the figure. Put the side heading experimental determination of osmotic pressure by Berkeley, B-E-R-K-E-L-E-Y H-A-R-T-L-E-Y, Bernoulli-Hartley method. So this is the diagrammatic representation for this experimental determination students. Kindly please draw the diagram carefully. So start drawing the students. Don't waste time. Don't look here and there. So in order to differentiate between various parts of the apparatus, I used different colors. I am not that artistic like you, but I tried to impress you students. So draw it fast. Write down the parts also carefully students. Right side you have reservoir of pure solvent. Next, below inner tube, below outer tube. Next, solution. Left side is the capillary tube. Inside the inner tube, write down as water. So carefully draw the inner tube, outer tube, capillary tube, reservoir of pure solvent. Completed students? Ready for the explanation? So, hope you have completed the diagram students, right? Now, so below here write down the principle of this experiment. How this experiment works. Okay? So take the pen now. This is based on the principle that this experiment is based on the principle that the external pressure applied on solution side to prevent osmosis, on solution side to prevent osmosis is just equal to osmotic pressure. Is just equal to osmotic pressure. Okay, students? So that's the principle on which this experimental determination is based on. Okay, so the external pressure applied on the solution side in order to prevent osmosis is equal to osmotic pressure. Okay, now look at the apparatus, students. So it has an inner tube. Okay, so here, look here carefully, students. This is the meaning of this is inner tube is perforated. Hope you know the meaning of perforated. Okay, so it consists of an inner tube which is perforated and coated with copper ferrocyanide. You know, students, this coating acts as artificial semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so the apparatus consists of an inner tube which is perforated and coated with copper ferrocyanide, which acts as, which means what? This copper ferrocyanide acts as the semi-permeable membrane. Got it? This is the first sentence of the experimental setup. Fine. Now, this inner tube, students, see, I have drawn this with a green color. So, this is complete the inner tube. Fine. Now, this inner tube is fitted with right side or on one side reservoir of pure solvent. That is, pure solvent means nothing but water. Okay, so one side it is fixed or it is fitted with the reservoir of pure water coming inside. And the other side you can see a capillary tube is fixed to the inner tube. Okay, so therefore here I have written water. So now you understood that the inner tube is filled with water, that is pure solvent. I did not again draw this showing water, students, because you will be getting confused between this and this. Okay, so therefore I have just written water. That means now the inner tube is completely filled with water. Okay, and the level of water is till here. See, I showed a small mark over here. So the level of solvent in capillary tube is till here. Clear? This is about the inner tube. It is perforated and coated with copper ferrocyanide, which acts as a semi-permeable membrane, and it is filled with the solvent, that is water. Okay. Now, this inner tube is enclosed in an, see students, here this is the red color I used. So this inner tube is enclosed in a metallic jacket or an outer tube. See here I have written as outer tube. Okay. So this inner tube is enclosed in an, what is that, students? Outer tube or metallic jacket in which a solution is taken. Now you know the difference between solvent and solution. Okay, I need not explain once again. Fine. So outer tube is filled with solution, inner tube is filled with the pure water. Fine. Now what happens? There is solvent, there is solution, and there is a semi-permeable membrane. What happens now, students? Solvent particles, that is water, starts moving towards a solution through SPM, that is semi-permeable membrane, which is nothing but called as osmosis. Okay, now osmosis takes place, that is flow of solvent towards the solution takes place. Now what happens to the level of water in the capillary tube? Solvent is moving towards the solution, which is nothing but osmosis. So what happens to the level, students? It gradually comes down. Okay. So now what happens? See here, to the outer tube. This is there. Here it is fixed a piston. So now what is done? Some pressure is applied with the help of the piston. Okay. So again what happens? The solvent goes back and the level comes to the origin, that is the level of water comes to the original level in the capillary tube. Okay. And how much pressure is, that means we are preventing osmosis, students. Solvent is going back means what? We are preventing osmosis. And how much time this external pressure is applied? This external pressure is applied until the solvent goes back and reaches the original level in the capillary tube. And how much pressure is applied? How will we know? That is recorded by a pressure gauge, and that will be equal to osmotic pressure of the solution. Okay, so that is the way how osmotic pressure is being determined experimentally. Okay, this is very easy, students, compared to the first colligative property, that is Ostwald Walker's method, and also this is an important question as well. So if you are asked this question, you can easily draw the diagram and you can write down the points also easily. What will you write, students? Once again I will repeat. It consists of an inner tube which is perforated and coated with copper ferrocyanide, which acts as a semi-permeable membrane, and it is fitted with a reservoir of pure solvent on one side and capillary tube on the other side. Okay, and an outer tube is fixed, which is nothing but a metallic jacket in which solution is taken. As we all know, there is a solution, there is solvent, and there is semi-permeable membrane. Now we know that the solvent moves towards a solution. That is, osmosis takes place through semi-permeable membrane. So therefore, the level of water in the capillary tube, it comes down, and now external pressure is applied with the help of the piston. Why is this external pressure applied? To prevent osmosis. Okay. So until when this pressure is applied? Until the solvent reaches back the original level in the capillary tube. And this pressure is recorded with the help of a pressure gauge, which will be equal to osmotic pressure of the solution. Clear, students? Understood now? Fine. Okay. Then we will move on to the next topic. Next, put the side heading. So students, there you draw a line. Okay. So that question is over. Now this is entirely a different topic. So put the side heading, abnormal behavior of dilute solutions. Abnormal behavior of dilute solutions, or overall abnormal colligative properties. Abnormal colligative properties. Okay. So put a colon and Van't Hoff factor. VAN'(T)HOFF, Van't Hoff factor. Ready, students? Okay. Let us learn what this Van't Hoff factor is. So students, in the beginning, we have seen what a colligative property is. Okay. So do you remember what is a colligative property? How do we define colligative property, students? It is the property of dilute solutions which depend on number of solute particles but not on their nature. Do you remember? Right? So, we all know that the colligative property of a dilute solution is the property which depends on number of solute particles but not on their nature. Okay, so this is the first point under abnormal colligative properties. Fine, students, remember this one. Colligative property is the property which depends on number of solute particles. Don't sleep, students. Kindly concentrate on this topic, okay? Or else if you will not understand each and every point, try to concentrate and please try to understand. Fine, this point is clear? Okay. Now, point number 2. Okay, point number 2. I will give you an example here in order to understand that point. Because if I dictate that point, you will not understand. Definitely sleep. So, delta TF. What is delta TF? It is the third colligative property called as depression in freezing point. Okay. Now, the delta TF value of 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water is 1.86 degrees centigrade. Okay, students, the value of delta TF of 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water is 1.86 degrees centigrade. Okay, next. Same colligative property, delta TF value of 1 mole of NaCl and BaCl2 in 1000 ml of water is 3.72 degrees centigrade and 5.58 degrees centigrade. What is it, students? Delta TF of 1 mole of NaCl in 1000 ml of water 3.72. Delta TF of 1 mole of BaCl2 in 1000 ml of water 5.58 degrees centigrade. Now I am giving you 3 values. Okay. So try to understand ma. Delta TF value of 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water 1.86. Delta TF of 1 mole of NaCl in 1000 ml of water 3.72. Delta TF of 1 mole of BaCl2 is 5.58 degrees centigrade. Before understanding the concept, tell me 1.86, 3.72, 5.58. Which one is greater? 5.58 is obviously greater than 3.72 than 1.86. Okay? This you understood? Nothing to understand, right? Now, I will tell you. 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water. Sucrose is the solute and water is the solvent. So, 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water. We have prepared a solution and we have determined or calculated or we found the delta TF value as 1.86. Okay, next. 1 mole of NaCl taken in 1000 ml of water. When we tried to calculate delta TF, it was found to be 3.72. That is the solution of NaCl. Next. When we have taken 1 mole of BaCl2 in 1000 ml of water, when a solution is prepared like this, its delta TF value was found to be 5.58 degrees centigrade. Okay, so BaCl2 is greater than NaCl. NaCl's value is greater than sucrose value. Why it is being increased? Okay, so look here, students. NaCl in water. So what happens when NaCl is dissolved in water? NaCl, you know, sodium chloride. In water, it dissociates into, NaCl dissociates into Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, now NaCl is not like NaCl. When you are dissolving it in water, what is happening? This is being dissociated into 2 ions. What are they, students? Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, now coming to BaCl2, when dissolved in water, it dissociates into how many ions? 3 ions. What are they? Ba plus 2 and 2 Cl minus. Total 3 ions. 3 ions means 3 particles. 2 ions, 2 particles. Okay. So NaCl is dissociating into 2 ions. BaCl2 dissociating into 3 ions. Okay. Now coming to sucrose. Sucrose or urea or glucose, even you dissolve it in water, it doesn't dissociate into ions. Okay, so this is the solution where solute is not being dissociated. These are the solutions where the solute is being dissociated. So what if it dissociates? What if it doesn't dissociate? Okay, so we should understand, if the solute dissociates, it is being separated into ions. That means the number of particles are being increased. Sucrose in water doesn't dissociate. So number of particles do not increase. Okay, what my point in telling you is this. Colligative property of a solution depends on number of particles. Okay. So delta TF value of these solutions is are higher than the delta TF value of this solution. Okay. That means here the number of particles are being increased. Automatically colligative property value is also increased. Here the particles are not increased, hence colligative property value is less. Okay, so the point that we should conclude from this example, point number 2, right now. The colligative property of dilute solutions, the colligative property of dilute solutions in which solute undergoes dissociation. Please underline, students. Solute undergoes dissociation. What did we start, students? The colligative properties of dilute solutions in which solute undergoes dissociation will be higher than the colligative properties of dilute solutions. The colligative properties of dilute solutions in which solute doesn't undergo dissociation. Understood now, students? This is your second point. Kindly note down the example fatafat. Delta TF of 1 mole of sucrose in 1000 ml of water, 1.86 degrees centigrade, and delta TF of 1 mole of NaCl and BaCl2 in 1000 ml of water are 3.72 and 5.58 degrees centigrade. That also you note down, students, below. NaCl in solution dissociates into 2 ions, BaCl2 in water dissociates into 3 ions, which are nothing but 3 particles. Clear, students? Next point, students. Next point. Okay, so we have completed all the 4 colligative properties, and also we know how to determine molecular weight from all the 4 colligative properties. Okay, if you observe all the 4 expressions for the determination of molecular weight, okay, we will notice an interesting point. Fine, I am writing here delta P is equal to something by molecular weight. Okay, go back and check. Next, delta TB is equal to something by molecular weight into. Next, delta TF is equal to something by molecular weight into. Next, pi osmotic pressure. Here also we find M into in the denominator. In all the expressions, this is the colligative property and this is the molecular weight of the non-volatile solute. Now tell me, what is the relationship between colligative property and molecular weight? If M is here in the numerator, then we will automatically say that there is a direct proportionality between colligative property and molecular weight. But if we observe all these expressions, molecular weight is in the denominator, from which we can infer that colligative property is inversely proportional to molecular weight. Okay, so write down the third point. Third point, colligative property is inversely proportional to molecular weight. So what does it mean if they are inversely proportional to one another? If one is increasing, the other one will automatically come down. So write down write down students, greater the colligative property, lesser will be the molecular weight. Greater the colligative property, lesser will be the molecular weight. Okay, so this is your third point. Understood the students? Next, moving on to the fourth point. Next point. Okay, see, look here carefully. If a solute in a solution dissociates, what happens? NaCl dissociated into Na plus Cl minus, BaCl2 dissociated into Ba plus 2 and 2Cl minus. So what is happening to the number of ions or number of particles? They are being increasing. NaCl 1, it is dissociating into 2. BaCl2 1, it is dissociating into 3. Okay, so we will write here, if a solute in a solution dissociates number of particles increases. So what happens to the value of colligative property? Number of particles increases, colligative property value increases. Why? Cp depends on number of particles. Okay, so write down number of particles increases, therefore value of colligative property increases. Carefully listen students. Relation between colligative property and molecular weight, inversely proportional. Okay, now we are considering the solution. Solute in a solution dissociated, number of particles increased, colligative property value increased. Now if we calculate the molecular weight after doing this experiment, what happens to the observed molecular weight? It is automatically decreased. So write down increases. Hence observed or experimental molecular weight. Hence observed, or why I am writing observed or experimental molecular weight? This is after doing the experiment. We have dissolved a solute in a solution. Then we have observed that it dissociated into ions. Then we calculated colligative property. It is being increased. So now if we calculate the molecular weight of the solute after dissociation, the observed or the experimental molecular weight will be less than We can calculate molecular weight of a solute in another way. Now students, how to calculate? We can calculate it from its formula. Okay. Therefore, observed or experimental molecular weight will be less than normal or original molecular weight. Try to understand. Here I have written observed or experimental molecular weight. Here I have written normal or original molecular weight calculated from the formula. Calculated from the formula. So write down carefully, students. I am reading it out once again for you. If a solute dissociates in a solution, comma, number of particles increases, that is, value of colligative property increases. Hence, observed or experimental molecular weight will be less than normal or original molecular weight calculated from the formula. Giving just 30 seconds time, read the sentence once again and try to understand this point, students. Next point, students. So now, basing on the previous point, you should be able to write the opposite point. Write down kindly. So, what will be the next point? So, look at the above point and try to understand, and like that we will write the next point. If a solute undergoes dissociation, what is the opposite, students? Association. Okay. If a solute associates in the solution, comma, number of particles, what happens here? They increased. Here decreases. Number of particles decreases. That is, value of colligative property decreases. Hence, now here comes the confusion. Hence, so colligative property is decreased means, what about the molecular weight? Inversely proportional, it increases, right? Hence, observed or experimental molecular weight will be more than normal or original molecular weight. Calculated from the formula. Once again, students, please check. If a solute undergoes association in the solution, comma, number of particles decreases, that is, colligative property value decreases. Hence, observed or experimental molecular weight will be more than the normal or original molecular weight calculated from the formula. Okay, so let us understand this with an example. Write down, students, example. Write down the example, students. Example. acetic acid in benzene. Okay, so this is the solution. So solution is made by dissolving acetic acid in benzene. Okay, now when acetic acid is dissolved in benzene, that is benzene is the solvent, acetic acid is the solute. Fine. Now when a solution is prepared like this, what happened? It was observed that the molecular weight of acetic acid is 118. Okay. So after dissolving acetic acid in benzene, molecular weight of acetic acid was found to be 118. Okay. So now what happened? Acetic acid has undergone association or dissociation. To understand this, we should know the original molecular weight of acetic acid. Okay. So to know the molecular weight of acetic acid, what should we know? We should know its formula. What is its formula, students? Acetic acid is CH3COOH. Okay. So from the formula, its molecular weight, if you calculate, it is 60. Okay. The original, that means when it is not taken in any solvent, its molecular weight is 60 calculated from the formula. Okay. Now acetic acid is dissolved in benzene. So what happened to the molecular weight? Molecular weight increased almost to double. 60 plus 60, 120 na? So it's almost 118. So now tell me, acetic acid is undergoing association or dissociation? Molecular weight, observed molecular weight is more than the normal molecular weight. So what about its colligative property value? Inversely proportional. Molecular weight observed is more means colligative property value is less. Colligative property less means, go back, number of particles? Less. Number of particles, when it will be less? When the solute undergoes association. Understood? Therefore, write down. Therefore, acetic acid undergoes association when dissolved in benzene. When dissolved in benzene. That is, when dissolved in benzene, that is, it exists as dimer, D-I-M-E-R, that is CH3COOH twice. So two molecules associating and becoming one. Okay. So originally if there are two acetic acid molecules, they get associated and they become one, like two close friends getting associated. Okay. So acetic acid exists as a dimer in benzene, that is CH3COOH twice. Understood, students? So if you understood this example, those 2 points, that means you have understood 100% perfect. Fine. So students, you understood that if a solute undergoes association or dissociation, I am writing, if a solute undergoes association or dissociation in solution, what is happening, students? The molar masses, that is molecular weights, are being changed. That's what we say. When a solute undergoes association or dissociation in a solution, abnormal molar masses are being observed. Okay. Abnormal molar masses means what? Abnormal colligative properties. That is what our side heading. Okay. So when a solute undergoes association or dissociation, abnormal molecular weights of the non-volatile solute are being observed. In order to, now comes, in order to explain this abnormality, Van 't Hoff introduced Van 't Hoff factor denoted by the letter I. Okay, in order to explain the abnormality, Van 't Hoff introduced Van 't Hoff factor denoted by the letter I for association and dissociation of the solute. Okay, now what is this I? This I is nothing but, write down students below, I is equal to observed colligative property by normal colligative property. That means Van 't Hoff factor is the ratio of observed colligative property. Girls, what is meant by observed colligative property? That is the experimental value by normal colligative property. After dissociation, before dissociation. Okay, so I, that is Van 't Hoff factor, is the ratio of observed colligative property and normal colligative property. In terms of molecular weight, how will you define Van 't Hoff factor? In terms of molecular weight, we know the relation. Colligative property inversely proportional to molecular weight. So, I will be equal to normal molecular weight by observed molecular weight. Okay. So, reverse students. Observed CP by normal CP or normal molecular weight by observed molecular weight. If it is directly proportional, we will write I is equal to observed molecular weight by normal molecular weight. But it is inversely proportional and hence in terms of molecular weight, I is the ratio of normal molecular weight and observed molecular weight. Draw a line till here. This is the answer for abnormal colligative properties, that is Van 't Hoff factor. Hope I made all the points clear, students. Okay, so try to please note down all these points in your notebook and don't simply write it and throw the book away in your study room. Okay, try to read and learn all these points, students. Then this chapter will be dead easy for you. Okay, and the topic remaining for us is only one topic, that is Van 't Hoff factor for dissociation and Van 't Hoff factor for association. So I will teach you in a comparative way and there are also numericals based on that we will be doing in the next class. Okay, so like this lesson, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to give the thumbs up. Okay, students. So what you do is you should take care, stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy and stay home. Bye-bye.